you can work not as a fiduciary, but in a consultative role where you can work with an individual who wants to sell, not saying, hey, I'm going to try to get you the best price. Let me market it, quote, for sale. You can say, listen, the way I work is the following. You and I essentially would agree on a price. And then what I do is I bring it out to my investment partners. And then whatever they're willing to pay, I make the delta. Again, sometimes I make 25,000 and sometimes I make a couple 100,000 depending on the size of the deal and the quality of the operation. But the good thing that you care about is that we're going to get to the closing table. Does that make sense? And you could just say like, look, the way, typically the way we get paid is just like as either an assignment fee or a consultative fee on the HUD. Okay. Either way you want it, it's in the contract. It's really simplistic. But you're like, I'm not a broker whatsoever. I'm an investor, and basically what I do is I work with sellers to connect them with investment groups in a broker capacity, because legally as an investor you can do so. Right? There is no law in the commercial real estate world saying you can't do that. Residential is different.
Gotcha.
So like you can just make a fee. Now, obviously, look, speaking that bluntly to a seller can be a little bit weird.
Right.
So just understand like what I'll typically do is like say, I'll just buy the deal. Right now, if it doesn't make sense for me, it might make sense for one of my partners. And then I conversate with the buyers and I say, listen, here's how it works. If I bring you a deal, I need to make at least 50,000 bucks a deal. I'm going to be on the HUD. You're going to pay the 50 grand, right? Or at least, you'd say a number, 2%, right? 2 to 3%. Because you have to understand you can't finance your fee.
Okay.
So like, a buyer cannot finance commissions, right? So your fee, or in your case, compensation. I don't want to say commissions because it legally isn't. So they can't finance compensation. So you getting paid 50 grand as an example on a $2 million deal, which, ignore it. Look, you're going to make 50 grand. Who cares? Your whatever few percentage points, which is very common by the way in the commercial world. Like every deal when they're off market, they're always like, hey, buyer has to pay a 3% buyer fee. So, which is very normal. So you can do that all day long and just have an agreement and kind of a handshake agreement or whatever with the buyer and say, look, every deal I bring you, because I find off market deals, I'm a wholesaler and investor in the market. I can't buy much stuff. Like I'm only, you say like, and you just tell them honestly, like, look, I'm looking at buying my first investment deal, so I'm looking for a great partner. Anyways, so you have all that kind of broken down. But what I would do is that I would just focus on working with like a few select really, really smart investors in a key market and just hunt for them. We're like, look, is being a broker way easier to get compensation? 100%. Infinitely easier to make compensation. Okay. Like less risk, all that kind of nonsense. Like it's just 10,000 times easier. Okay. But it's not necessary.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess I had a question on that too, because my test is on the 15th of July. So it's like I'm asking myself, do I need it? Do I not need it?
I think it helps.
Does it help? And I mean, I worry about like wholesaling laws and then fiduciary. I mean, do they go up against each other in the commercial world? I know they do sometimes in the residential.
The wild fucking west, buddy.
Is it? All right, man. So look,
commercial wise, you can do whatever you want. Okay. Residential, you touch a house, I would never wholesale something for a house. Wouldn't do it. Wouldn't touch it. Not interested. People who do it, God bless you. I'm not getting involved with that.
I figured commercials, everything goes. You're smart enough.
Everything goes.
You can do whatever you want.
Everything goes. Okay. Listen, if Blackstone can make 10 billion on wholesaling Sam Zell's portfolio a decade ago, we can do whatever the fuck we want.
They did that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit, man. Nice. Okay.
So nice. Like we can make a couple $100,000 on a deal. It doesn't matter.
Okay. I'll do that then. I'll just get it.
Yeah.
Because I guess where I'm leading with this is right now cause the only reason why I'm going after RV parks and mobile home parks is because I have dispo set up, access to buyers that will buy that in any red state and then and Colorado. So I'm calling Houston, I'm calling Colorado and just searching and hunting.
As long as you have investors that are specifically looking for that type of product, that's smart, right?
Okay.
But if you don't have buyers for it, you're prospecting to prospect.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's like, I like to say, take some time, build up a good buyers list. That's very, very, very important to the speed in which you will grow and do deals. Now, look, you can prospect all day long and find great opportunities, but then you're working backwards. Look, the business here is not complicated, right? Like we find wonderful off-market opportunities. We bring them to buyers make offers, we negotiate the deal, and we have a nice day. What I recommend is that we look at this through the eyes of saying, hey, let me go find a market that I want to start prospecting in. You live where?
So I'm in San Jose, California.
Okay, cool. I'm not saying you have to sell in California, right? You can also get your license in any fucking state you want. It does not matter, right? You don't have to live in the state you sell. I live in Florida and sell in New Jersey, right?
Okay.
But what's important is understanding like, hey, I have clients that are looking for lots of product in these key markets, and I'm going to do everything I can to find wonderful opportunities in those key markets to sell to them. And that's the simplicity of the game. Now, The art is enhancing your skill set on the phones and mastering your, getting better data and collecting all these deals and negotiating better than anybody else can, right? And like doing a lot of these little small nuances in, through playing the game, which allows you to make more and more money.
Yeah, negotiation. That's I need to get better at
Yeah, and
that.
we'll work on it together, right? And like, look,
Yeah,
every
let's do it.
different. Every deal's different. I'm negotiating like any given point in time, 100 plus deals at a time, right? But it's all moving pieces. So it's keeping in mind that like, hey, all I want to do is I want to move the deal forward a little bit, just a little bit, right? And by the way, if someone's hypothetically not negotiable whatsoever, it's okay. I'm just trying to get him to the line. Whatever his line is, I want to find it and I want to get there. Best price, best terms. I want to pull him to that line. And if hypothetically he might not be able to wiggle anymore once he hits that line and get really frustrated. Totally cool. I got him to the line because it allows me to have the highest likelihood of selling it. And I'm going to do the same thing with the buyer. I'm going to bring him to his line, the highest price he'll possibly pay and the best terms he'll possibly give me. And sometimes those align and sometimes they don't, right? So it's like, as an example, the Dollar General deal. In some instances they don't align, and that's okay. There are a lot of people, shockingly, okay, who overpaid by a freaking ton in 2020 to 2022. Just like this guy who overpaid like a beast. He overpaid like a crazy man on this deal, okay?
Yeah.
Which is okay. I mean, like, that's just life. And you don't know in the moment. You don't know that rates are going to 3x in 24 months. No one has any idea. You're just like, oh, 2% interest. Thanks. Have a nice day. Now, if he was smart, he would have locked in for 30 years at a little bit higher of an interest rate. But he didn't do that. And now he's dealing with what he's dealing with.
Yeah, that's a funny deal. Yeah, that one's actually pretty funny. I'm trying to lock it up at 450. I actually had an LOI signed at 450, and then something came up that we kind of felt uncomfortable signing a purchase agreement with. So still negotiations, and now that.
But what's more important though is you find a buyer for it. Because what's happening is that when you're in a deal, okay, and you have something just like this one as an example, where you definitely know that there's a range in which the seller is motivated enough to come to a price that will cause it to sell. I don't think that's a problem. The problem is you don't know what that is because you haven't spoken to a buyer yet, right? Because if you had a buyer right now who said that they would pay X, you'd have at least a path to success. You don't have that right now. You're going to keep negotiating with the seller and keep going down and down and down and down and down and down. And you don't know if you are even in the green or not, right? So it's like, I want to know what being in the green is. So like when I'm negotiating deals and when I make an offer, I know with 80 to 90% certainty, I can sell it for more money. And some deals, I'm 100% certain I can make it sell for more money. Right. And some deals I'm like 20%. And when I'm 20%, I'm like, I tell my team, I'm like, hey, put this in front of a couple of buyers before I make an offer because I'm not sure. So just like this deal, I'll do exactly like you just said. I'll reverse prospect all the previous sold properties in the market. I'll call every single one of them, or my team will, and we'll get some feedback. But until I get 4 or 5 or 10 people giving me some feedback about this deal, I have no idea what I need to sell this thing for.
Yeah, and I've kind of been SOL with finding a buyer, to be honest.
No, but guess what? That's feedback. What's funny though is that because look, you have 2 people. One guy's got an unbelievable buyers list, right? 10, 20, I mean, not a lot, but like 10 or 20 really active investors who are looking to buy 5 or 10 deals every single year in great products in specific markets. And maybe that person generates let's say 5 or 10 leads a month specifically for those people. Okay. And then gets 5, 10, 20, 30 offers a month on those properties every single month. That person will make more money than the guy who generates 400 leads a month, but has absolutely no buyers and doesn't get any offers on anything. So the seller leads are incredibly crucial, but they mean nothing if you don't have any buyers and you don't get any offers on your properties. So it's like, that's why right now for a foundation, it's like, look, you don't need hundreds of buyers. You need like a dozen good ones. A dozen active guys who buy 2, 3, 4 properties a year, 5 properties a year if you're lucky, right? Because you're not going to get every single one of the properties they want to buy, right? They're working with a lot of wholesalers, a lot of brokers, a lot of people, like they're doing their own searching. So it's like, we're not going to get 100% of that pool, but we're going to try to get as much as we can by prospecting for it.
Makes sense.
You also then trying to better understand how I should pursue my real estate license better. Okay. Nothing closed in the past 2 months, but I've submitted a lot of offers, doing well. I think that in the short amount of time, for example, I've connected with the seller with 98 unit, like you talked about. What I want you to start doing is this process. Right now, for the next, call it 30 days straight, I don't even want you to talk to a seller. Okay. I want you to call buyers like a madman. And I want you to, choose a couple good markets wherever you choose, but you have to understand you're going to go deep, not wide. You're going to choose a couple good markets where you want to prospect and you kind of know the markets. I'm not saying, maybe it's the whole state of California, maybe it's Arizona, or Texas. Who cares? It doesn't matter where you're choosing, but you're going to choose a main market and you're going to go find the 5 or 10 top buyers in those markets. As an example, where do you want to choose?
Well, I'm in San Jose. I'm thinking the Bay Area, NorCal as a start. I don't know if it's a good thing, a bad thing. Is it competitive? I don't know.
I mean, look, California, in my opinion, is a completely fucked up market. California is the only state I'll ever say that about, by the way. Okay, every other market,
that's everyone.
Wherever you choose, and again, if it's San Jose, wonderful. But I mean, maybe I don't know. California just is a weird market. I know, look, for luxury residential real estate, fuck yeah. For commercial, it's a pretty fucked up market. People are buying 4 caps. I don't even understand it. And then someone's like, that's not enough for me. I want a 2 cap. I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. It's just crazy shit. But I'm saying, even if it's San Jose as an example, because this works for any market, okay? All you're going to do is you're going to reverse look up the property owners on Reonomy, which have you seen me do that, or do you want me to show you?
I'd love to see it. Yeah, if you could.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll do it right now.
If it isn't NorCal, I was just thinking because if I get my license, I'll be up here for the most part.
Okay, cool.
If not here, then it's going to be Colorado because I have property in Colorado, or Arizona, or somewhere in Texas.
So all you're going to do is, and by the way, any one of those work, okay?
Okay.
But I would choose a market where you know it fairly well, okay? Like you're not completely blinded, learning a brand new market, and then choosing an asset class or two that you relatively understand. If it's mobile home parks, great. If it's RV parks, great. If it's retail, great. If it's whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But you're going to choose an asset and you're going to choose a market and you're just going to go deep first. And you're going to become the go-to guy, right, for off-market, properties of this specific asset class in this main market. Does that make sense?
You got it. Yeah,
all right, so tell me a market real quick, and I'm going to share my screen.
Colorado Springs.
2 things, okay? It's going to be the owners tab in a second, but we're going to be looking at this until we get a more accurate piece of data. So what type of asset class are you looking at?
I mean, let's say mobile home parks again.
Okay, cool. So in Colorado Springs, we're going to go to multifamily mobile home parks. Like, I mean, you're pretty familiar with this, okay?
Oh, shit, a lot.
We're going to click on, you can actually probably leave these blank. We want to include a phone number, though. That's important. Properties in portfolio, we're going to do, let's say 5 to start. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do sales within the last 2 years. Okay, there was only 5 that made our criteria. But now we're going to go to owners, and these are the 5 guys in the market. So these are going to be the big players in your market that you should get to know. So each one of these guys own more than 5 parks, at least 1 in this market. I mean, obviously, Equity Lifestyle is a freaking huge one. I don't know if I'd get them on the phone, but Andrew McCabe, Janet, John. The point is, like, a lot of these you can definitely get in touch with, right? Same thing if hypothetically we did, instead of 5, let's go down a little bit. Let's go like 2.
I should expand my criteria. It's only 9. Barely.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, look, you could definitely do, let's
like
say
Denver or something.
Well, I'll just say Colorado. All right. Instead of Colorado Springs, we just do all Colorado. 95. There you go. What's going to happen here is like now you can start making some decisions based on portfolio assessed values. Like, obviously, we're not going to call you're probably not going to get through to Equity Lifestyle, right? But everybody else I would call, like these 15 people, the top 15 on this, if you sort by assessed property value, these people are the most interesting to me.
Gotcha.
Okay, you're gonna reach out to all of them until you build your relationship with at least half a dozen people where if you find anything in these markets, right, you're gonna be able to sell it to them. Some of them are gonna tell you, I don't want to buy mobile home parks, I want to buy shopping centers. And what's gonna happen is that you're gonna be pulled in these different directions. Going deep first is fine, and then you'll expand over time. But the problem is that when you get pulled in all these different directions, right off the bat, it can be pretty difficult because all of a sudden now you're looking for 17 different products for 17 different people. And if one guy doesn't want the property, you're fucked. What I prefer is saying, hey, I have a dozen mobile home park guys. I have a dozen shopping center guys that are all looking in this pocket. So as long as I drill this pocket and I go crazy and I prospect like a madman in this little pocket for any type of asset class, I've got these dozen people to bring the deal to. That's how I am with New Jersey. So like New Jersey as an example, I can sell any asset class. It doesn't matter. As long as the price is relatively decent, I have a guy for hotels, liquor stores, car washes, gas stations, multifamily, retail, everything you could possibly imagine, I've got a guy for it. And I don't just have one, I've got many people who will buy it. So I can immediately attach a deal to an email. I can call a dozen good, like top players, get their feedback, and then I can go into an email and send it to my other 300 buyers that I have in that market. So now, obviously, I've been doing this 10 years and built these lists over time. But now it's like that's how we can sell a deal like this, as long as it's priced appropriately.
Gotcha.
That's why I'm saying you're gonna choose your market. You're gonna find every single buyer, and you're just gonna go deep into that market. Build your buyers list and just go ham on prospecting for opportunities for them.